And it is the 6th day of January, the year being 2026. As you can see, we are all set to ensure that we are bringing you up to speed on matters, you know, what is happening in the news, as well as get to talk about current affairs and also matters health. And yeah, you are right in time. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Ndegwa. Today being a Tuesday, we have a lot in store for you, and health being one of the topics that we will be tackling. As I've just mentioned, we will be having a conversation on sickle cell anemia, and to be specific, we will be looking at the treatment options as well as ways in which you can manage your pain when we talk matters sickle cell anemia. And our main focus today will be on little children. And before I hand you over to my colleagues, my guest today will be none other than Peter Ahago. Peter is the Program Officer, Children's Sickle Cell Foundation, and he will be here so that we can just get to understand ways in which we can be able to manage pain, you know, strategies of pain management when it comes to sickle cell anemia. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Vivian. And you know, it's the second day of working, and most people are resuming work yesterday. And if you looked at social media yesterday, there was a lot of memes, people saying how their first day was. Then again, I think by now people have been accustomed to the fact that this is the first week of going back to work. And so for those, especially for those of us who wake up very early in the morning.
We're settling in.
Yeah, we're
still settling
in.
Yeah, but I mean, we're here.
Yeah, we're here. And let me tell you, waking up very early is sometimes becomes an extreme sport. But then again, we have to be here to ensure that you are well informed with what is happening. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. A lot is happening within the political landscape, but today I want us to focus on the ODM party. A lot is happening within that party, given the wrangles that are very evident. And yesterday, even the likes of Otieno Omolo have called on the party leader, interim party leader, that is Oburu Oginga, to quell the ongoing wrangles. So today we want to focus on ODM's identity and direction, given what is happening. What does this mean for the party now that we are entering we are heading into 2027, and also the status of its position within the broad-based government? What does it mean, given that a lot is going on? Because there have been calls for the Secretary General of ODM, Edwin Sifuna, to step aside, and yeah, we are keeping a good eye on what is happening within ODM and let you know what is happening right there. So today, as we focus on ODM, I will be joined by three gentlemen. Now, one is Gibson Gisore, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya; Thomas Omar, who is a governance and political expert; and also Mark Ndingo, who is a politician and a governance expert. We shall be talking about ODM's status right about now. Before I hand you over to Marie, let me interest you with a quote as food for thought. The most important thing is transforming our minds for a new way of thinking, new outlook. We should strive to develop a new inner world. The most important thing is transforming our minds for a new way of thinking, a new outlook, and we should strive to develop a new inner world. And that is a quote by Dalai Lama. Good morning, Marie.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Vivian. And of course, to all our viewers joining us from across the country. You know, as you were talking, I was just thinking, Mike saying like we are back to work and all that. And I was just thinking to myself, like, probably this needs to be the year of accountability.
Yes. Why do you say so?
Yeah.
Why do you say so?
I say so because a lot is happening. And we keep hearing the same kind of narratives. in the sense of the South Sea building collapsing.
Yes.
You know, it's not new, yeah?
Yeah.
We've known buildings collapsing for I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
But we've never really seen anything happening. You know, we are going to investigate. We'll hold the people accountable. I don't know if you remember anybody jailed because they did not follow the due procedure. I personally can't.
Not one that I'm thinking of right now, yeah.
Yes.
The script has always been the same.
It's just been the same.
Yeah.
And then we have road accidents every festive season for as long as I can remember. Yesterday, or I think yesterday was Monday, I think early morning of Monday, 9 people, just like their lives were just snapped out like that.
Yeah.
You know, Naivasha along Karai.
Yes.
Again, investigations will be done. That has been the song for as long as we can remember. So I feel like this needs to be the year of accountability.
I agree with you on that,
Yeah.
because I mean, even speaking about road carnage, just this year, it is so unfortunate that we are on the 6th day, you know, of this year, and we've already lost more than 20 people on our roads.
Imagine.
So I agree with you, Marie, like accountability should be the in thing now, you know, and even aside from, you know, people being brought to book when they commit some of these crimes, because it's a crime, man. If you're driving recklessly, you're actually endangering other people's life, and yeah, it is a crime.
You know, it's just short of saying, Vivian, you're, I mean, literally a murderer.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you might not
yeah.
take that panga or whatever it is to go kill, but you're putting an unroadworthy vehicle, number one, on the road.
On the road, yeah.
You're as a driver, probably I can't really like give excuses. I know you're looking for something to put food on the table, but you're working overtime. You're not trusting. Like what happened to that accident on Monday early morning?
Yeah.
You know, the passengers were saying that he was literally struggling.
Yeah,
you know,
because he had not rested.
Yeah.
You know, he had already taken another trip. I mean,
Exactly.
how about we just be accountable for our own actions as well, and be accountable also for one another.
And also, on that same note, even when it comes to enforcing these rules, we need to be serious when enforcing traffic rules, because at the end of the day, yes, we have pedestrians, we have drivers, we have everybody, but also the institutions that are charged with the responsibility of enforcing these rules should do more to ensure that the whole idea of losing lives year in, year out on the roads at least is mitigated.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I feel it's a year of accountability at a personal level and also as a country.
Yes.
The president said we need to be in the first world, Singapore. If you ask me, that will start at a personal level.
Exactly.
Right with what we have, the chaos we have on our roads, the environment and everything, it starts right at the door.
And it's not about infrastructures, buildings and everything.
It's a mental...
It touches, or it touches on culture. How we think, how we do things has to change, even as we head, as the president is saying, into the first world level of development. We need to change even the way we think, our culture, the way we do things. That has to change.
Everything all round.
Yes.
Yeah.
Personal discipline.
Yes.
It all bows to that, you know. This is a subject that we can talk about for as long as, you know, we can mention so many things.
Yeah.
But yes, let's hope that things will change. The people in charge, you've been put in those offices for a reason. You know, you don't just earn salaries. You're there to ensure that you implement, no matter how painful it might look, but you have to be seen to be doing your job, not just rhetoric.
Yes.
So that is my take this morning. Thank you so much for indulging me. So we get to the news where Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary, that is Alice Wahome, has warned of tough legal actions against anyone who will be found culpable in the collapse of the South Sea multi-story building that has so far claimed one life, Wahome, who visited the site for the first time on Monday, said the architects and engineers risk losing their licenses if investigations establish criminal responsibility. The recovery exercise in search of a second person at the site is expected to conclude today.
Excavation and rescue operations entered day 4 on Monday at the site of the collapsed 16-story building in South Sea, Nairobi, in search of a second person believed to have been trapped in the rubble. Cabinet Secretary in charge of lands, public works, housing and urban development, Alice Wahome, warns of legal action against the developer, architect, engineers, county and national government officials should criminal culpability be established.
What will you do if a contractor or a developer is not complying? Of course, he should be prosecuted. I will deregister if I'm told that the contractor was the problem. I will deregister the contractor.
Wahome revealed that the multi-agency teams with relevant expertise are carrying out investigations to establish the root cause of the tragic occurrence on Friday last week.
I will suspend the license of the architect if I find through the report that he went 3 other floors or 1 extra floor without approval by NCA. I'm going to deregister them.
While disclosing the names behind the construction, she however said the developer, named as Abian Consulting Limited, has not been invited to record a statement.
I don't want to preempt because I have technical teams that will tell me whether the developer should actually do a statement. You know, we don't want to preempt. You want a thorough job.
However, as of 2024, the CS said 4 inspections done by the National Construction Authority had given the green light to the project. That was registered on 8th November 2023, having met all statutory requirements. At the time of the incident, the project was however non-compliant, as 4 more floor levels had been added to the approved designs. The excavation and search operations are expected to end on Tuesday. This as the National Construction Authority issued stoppage orders for 2 construction works in Seme, Kisumu County for lack of requisite documentation.
Some of the developers do not even know that they need to hire a professional to do their work, because assuming they had hired at least 1 professional, he or she would tell them that they need the other professionals along, and they would also inform them about the processes they have to go through in order to be able to be allowed to construct.
Of course, my colleague, that is Giverson Maina, should be on that beat today and bring us up to speed with what the conclusions will be in as far as the search of that one body that has not yet been found. Let's move on, where a section of ODM bigwigs wants interim party leader Senator Oburu Oginga, that is, to convene the party's organs and quell the rising political intolerance in the party. Led by 2 national vice chairpersons, Otendi Amolo and John Ariko, the leaders warn that failure to urgently deal with the internal wrangles may erode the public confidence in the party and reduce its popularity going into the 2027 general elections.
For the last few weeks, ODM's key national officials have been at loggerheads over who has the best interest of the party at heart, often engaging in public verbal slurs, a situation that has drawn the attention of 2 national vice chairpersons, John Ariko and Otiende Amolo, as well as the National Assembly Minority Whip Millie Yambo, who now want the interim party leader Senator Oburu Oginga to move with speed and quell the rising temperatures.
We are further concerned by the spectacle of self-cannibalization that has been exhibited of late in our party. It is testament to how much we miss the wisdom and iconic leadership of our departed leader, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, that divisive rhetoric has taken over our politics without restraint. We call upon the party's elected leadership and the wider membership to uphold the tenets of unity and camaraderie espoused by the late Raila Odinga.
We have convened ourselves as concerned members of Parliament from ODM. And if you can judge us from where we are coming from whatever is coming out, you'll agree with us that we have not taken any side.
The ODM bigwigs concerned with the effect of the ongoing mudslinging, one that failure to address the issues with urgency will allow small parties to occupy political spaces previously occupied by ODM. They are confident, however, the internal wrangles can be solved internally without involving the National Delegates Conference.
Our challenges are self-inflicted. We must come as a party and look inwardly and solve our issues internally and stop blaming other people. We are the ones inflicting harm upon ourselves. We are creating a lot of confusion with our membership.
ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and the leader of Minority Party in the National Assembly, Junet Mohammed, have been engaged in counter-accusations over the party's management of resources for the last general elections, a subject the Otiende-led caucus refused to comment on.
What's going on is the democracy in the D in ODM. ODM stands for the Orange Democratic Movement Party of Kenya. But two, that there are mechanisms that are in place, and as much as we are having this press statement, we're also in conversation with our party leader along the same lines. There's no disconnect.
The MPs have also noted the allegation of an altercation between Kileleshwa MCA Robert Alai and Embakasi East MP Babu Owino and urged the police to investigate the matter with urgency.
To other news, where 9 people, including 2 children, were killed in a grisly road accident along the Nairobi-Naivasha highway. A Nissan Matatu collided head-on with a Green Line bus that was headed to Nairobi from the western region.
Twisted metal, shattered glass. The mangled wreckage tells the story of a violent head-on collision after a Nissan Matatu rammed into this bus belonging to the Green Light Bus Company that was traveling to Nairobi from Western Kenya. All 9 lives aboard the Nissan Matatu were cut short on the spot, among them 2 children. Passengers in the bus said the driver was speeding and overtaking a fleet of vehicles when it rammed into the oncoming Nissan.
So wakati tumefika kwa hii mafuta tumepata kuna premium imetokea hapo, ikaingia tu kwa barabara na ikaslow, na sisi gari ilikuwa ina high speed, so there's no way angeshika emergency. So wakati amejaribu kuihepa ndio tukapatana na Nissan head-on collision.
Alikuwa anakuja akikimbisha gari na speed, tunajaribu kumwambia punguza speed, tuko na watoto na tuko na watu wengi, hataki kusikia.
Survivors said the tragedy could have been avoided as the driver appeared exhausted, having driven long distances without rest.
So wakati amefika Nakuru, hizi mataa za gari zingine zikaanza kumlemea, so anafika mahali ana slow. So nikafika mahali nikaita conductor nikamwambia, you need to talk with your driver kwa sababu it is like ako dizzy.
They are accusing transport operators of prioritizing profit over passenger safety.
Kwa kampuni ya Green Line, kama gari lazima ikuwe na return, at least wakuwe 2 drivers.
Police have since described the Karai area along the Nairobi-Naivasha road as a non-black spot, urging motorists to be vigilant.
I am advising motorists to plan their travel on time so that they are not moving on an hurry. So for them to be safe from where they are starting and where they are ending to.
The 1 a.m. incident that occurred near Kayole Estate, 10 kilometers from Naivasha town, also left several other people injured, most of whom were treated at the Naivasha Sub-County Hospital and later discharged.
Nimeumia kifua kidogo, nimeumia magoti, but glasi zimenikata kidogo kidogo.
As families mourn their loved ones, fresh questions are being raised about driver fatigue, enforcement of safety rules, and accountability on Kenyan roads.
To a major medical breakthrough where scientists from the Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI, have unveiled a major public health and climate adaptation breakthrough, demonstrating that simple low-cost housing modifications can significantly cool homes and keep out malaria-carrying mosquitoes, offering a scalable solution for millions of households across malaria-endemic Africa. According to the findings, electricity-free housing improvements reduced indoor heat by 3.3 degrees Celsius and cut malaria mosquito population by as much as 77% in rural Western Kenya.
For decades, malaria control has relied heavily on bed nets and indoor spraying, promoted in Kenya under the slogan "Sisi ndani, mbu nje." While effective during sleeping, these tools do not prevent mosquitoes from entering houses or address growing heat stress driven by climate change. In sub-Saharan Africa, 95% of deaths globally are attributed to malaria. To curb the rising cases and deaths, researchers from KEMRI conducted a pilot randomized controlled study involving 40 households in Siaya County, testing 4 housing approaches: reflective cool roofs, which reduce daytime indoor heat by 3.3 degrees Celsius and nighttime temperatures by 2.4 degrees Celsius, locally made mat ceilings, which provided moderate cooling, cross-ventilation improvements, which showed limited impact, and unmodified control houses. All intervention homes were fully screened at doors, windows, and eaves to block mosquito entry. House screening reduced female Anopheles funestus mosquitoes, the primary malaria vectors, by 77%, alongside a 58% reduction in Culex mosquitoes. KEMRI has called for urgent multisectoral action to translate the findings into widespread impact, urging national and county governments to integrate cool roof and screen standards into building codes, malaria strategic plans, and climate adaptation policies beginning in high-burden regions.
To other news, where a 44-year-old man who was abducted by armed men in Mombasa has been reunited with his family after 9 days in captivity. Harrison Yambo, who was abducted on Christmas Eve in his Changamwe home, spent Christmas and New Year in captivity, recounting torture and medical neglect before being released on January 2nd in the Vipingo area, that is in Kilifi County. Human rights defenders have since condemned the act, even as they call for investigations to bring those culpable to book.
A visibly distraught Harrison Yambo is lucky to be home after spending the festive season in confinement. The dialysis patient recounts being picked up from his home on the eve of Christmas by armed men before being ferried to an unknown location where he went through hardship and torture.
Watu walikuja wamevaa ninja, wakaniambia kichwa chini na familia yangu wote, tukarazwa, tuliporazwa, mimi niliweza kuwekwa pingu na kuteremshwa mpaka chini kwa kali na kushikwa na kufungwa macho, penye nilipelekwa sikujua na nimepitia masaibu ya kutosha, na sikitaka mwingine apitie masaibu kama hayo. Siwezi omba mwingine apitie masaibu kama hayo nilipitia, kwa sababu nimepitia masaibu.
His wife, Leon Jerry, who tried to follow the young men and got her own share of beatings, now thankful that the family's breadwinner is back home after they spent the festive season worried about his whereabouts and whether he would make it back home in one piece.
Nilishikwa na watu walikuwa wamejiami na mabunduki, nikaenda nikapiga ripoti na nikawa niko na watu wananisaidia kufuatilia hiyo maneno, na ikiwa tarehe 2 Januari, nashukuru Mungu mzee wangu amerudi akiwa mzima, hata kama amesema amepitia masaibu, nashukuru Mungu kumuona amerudi akiwa mzima. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa inataka matumaini yangu, arudi nimuone akiwa mzima na watoto pia.
Human rights activists condemned the incident, alleging the presence of illegal abduction squads, while calling on the relevant authorities to hasten investigations and bring the culprits to book.
Tafadhalini, fuateni sheria ili shida kama hizi zisiweze kutokea. Na tunataka wale wote waliohusika waweze kujulikana, ili mambo kama haya ya kuweza kuumiza mtu ambaye ni mgonjwa tayari anahitaji matibabu yasiweze kutendeka.
Haki za kibinadamu za msingi za watu ambao wameshikwa zinafaa zizingatiwe. Endapo mtu yeyote amefanya makosa, serikali ina haki ya kumshika na kufuata kanuni za nchi na kumhoji.
Let's now go to the U.S., where the abducted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Lady Celia Flores, are due to make their first appearance in court in New York City, United States, anytime from now, facing charges of narco-terrorism, cocaine importation, and machine gun possession. This as the Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, takes the oath of office as the acting president and calling for a dialogue with the United States. President Donald Trump has maintained that the U.S. is in control of Venezuela.
Tension is still high in Venezuela almost 3 days after President Nicolas Maduro was abducted in a fierce military operation on Saturday. With Maduro and his wife, Lady Celia Flores, appearing in court for the first time to face charges of narco-terrorism, cocaine importation and machine gun possession, the U.S. President Donald Trump says his administration will work with the remaining members of Maduro regime to clamp down on drug traffickers and overhaul the country's oil sector. Speaking aboard Air Force One, the United States President threatened another action in the country if the regime does not toe the line. The operation attracted condemnation from across the world, with the U.S. being accused of seeking to control Venezuela's vast oil reserves. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, who has been sworn in as the acting president of Venezuela, is however calling for a dialogue with the United States, saying there is need for a balanced and respectful relations with Washington during power transition. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council has held an emergency meeting to discuss the situation.
Of course, they already appeared in court and pleaded not guilty to those charges, but definitely this is going to be an interesting story that we'll definitely be following for you. It's a global story, and so we'll be keeping, tabs on it. But let's look at business news, where Kenya has formally exited the Commercial Sugar Safeguard regime after 24 years. The safeguard, which lapsed on the 30th of November, was a temporary reform-driven measure designed to stabilize and restructure the sugar subsector, objectives that the government says have now been fully achieved.
The move by Kenya to exit the Commercial Safeguard regime marks a major policy shift for the country's sugar industry, which for over 2 decades operated under special trade protections within the Commercial Free Trade Area. Kenya initially sought the safeguard in 2001 at the launch of the Commercial Free Trade Area, at a time when the local sugar subsector was characterized by low productivity, high production costs, and heavy reliance on government support. Over the years, the safeguard allowed Kenya to restrict sugar imports through tariff rate quotas while implementing reforms aimed at restoring viability. The commercial safeguards were extended 8 times, each extension subject to performance reviews and progress reports. Kenya Sugar Board Chief Executive Officer Jude Chesire says the expiry of the commercial safeguard signals that the sugar subsector has reached a level of stability and preparedness to compete in a liberalized regional market. Sugar production has risen by more than 70% from 2022 levels, supported by favorable rainfall, improved access to certified seed cane, targeted fertilizer subsidy programs, and improved milling efficiencies. The Kenya Sugar Board says Kenya will continue to supplement local sugar production deficit with controlled imports from both commercial and approved non-commercial sources as milling rehabilitations continue. The government says that this framework will provide investors with the certainty needed to commit capital and ensure continued regulatory oversight and farmer protection.
We look at sports now, where Manchester United have officially announced the sacking of head coach Ruben Amorim. Now, the club confirmed that Amorim has departed his role with immediate effect, ending a tenure that began in November 2024, despite leading United to the UEFA Europe League final in Bilbao. This past May, the club says its leadership has reluctantly decided that a change is needed, with the team currently sitting 6th in the Premier League. United believe the decision gives them the best opportunity to achieve their highest possible league finish this season. In a statement, the club thanked Ruben Amorim for his contribution and wished him well for the future. Former United midfielder Darren Fletcher will take charge of the team on an interim basis, starting with Wednesday's Premier League match against Burnley. We've come to the end of the bulletin this morning. Thank you as always for your time and your company. My name is Yambo. Of course, Good Morning Kenya still continues. Stay with us if you can.